You know, there are a lot of kids out there who ask me, Andy, and by kids, I obviously mean fully grown adult men who are over the age of 21 and suffer immensely from Peter Pan syndrome, kind of like the people you'd see in like Hermosa Beach, California, or St. Pete, Florida. You know, fun fact, that's actually why it's named St. Pete, because it has the second highest concentration of people who suffer from Peter Pan syndrome, so that's why it's St. Pete.
How do you do, fellow kids?
You know what they tell me as they're trying to hook up with their 21-year-old beachfront Pilates teacher? They say to me, Andy, I've seen your videos. You need to relax. You need to take it easy. Why don't you come over here and take some breathing exercises? We can go through some breathing classes. And you want to know what I say to them? How about you come over here and I take you through some sniffing classes? Because maybe if you take one or two, you would know that the team in your backyard, the Tampa Bay Lightning, were about to beat the #1 team in the NHL, because that's exactly what we happened last night. But you haven't taken the sniffing classes. You never had your car. Oh, and that concludes the monologue for today, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let's give it up for your late night band, Francis and the Sniffers. Now, I know there's a degenerate contingent of you that doesn't like that opening, doesn't like the tomfoolery at the top, and you just want me to get to the picks like a fiend. If that's you, and you don't have any time to smile at the beginning of these videos, I think you have a problem. And if you do, call 1-800-GAMBLER, because somebody's there to answer your call. And I'm only laughing because I'm thinking of how pissed off you are that I haven't given a single pick yet. And we're how long into the video? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Remember, you're not allowed to listen because you have a problem because you haven't been happy yet. You call 1-800-GAMBLER. For the rest of you, I got some NHL picks. And the first one ain't the last one, and it ain't the last time you're going to hear it. It's the DraftKings Sportsbook promotion. Bet $5 on anything, any game, any sniff. DraftKings Sportsbook is going to credit you with $200 in free bet credits that you can use on anything you want. You just got to be over 21, just like all those Peter Pans in St. Pete.
Come on, y'all. Why acting suspicious?
Okay, first of all, before I get into the bets, I think it's become a good practice to let you know how I feel about the slate and all the games on it. This one is like medium for me. It's not how I felt about yesterday or on Tuesday, but it's not as bad as Wednesday. This is like a mid-tier. This is like C plus B minus how I feel about this particular slate. And what I'm going to start with is a team that's kind of on par with how I'm feeling about Detroit. We took Detroit 2 straight games. We sweat them out because they both won in overtime. Well, there's another team. They've been playing well. They've been accumulating points. If you look at them, you say, oh, they lost in overtime again. But ever since they won that game in Colorado, they've got our attention. They're sloppy, yes, but they have been playing a lot better. And I like betting on teams who need points. I really do. You know, it's worked out for us these last couple of nights. That's part of the reason Nashville was able to upset Winnipeg and upset the Devils. They need points. They can't afford to lose any. So I like teams who really need them. Florida is trying to get into that last playoff spot. They're trying to fight their way into the mix. They've been doing a good job. They've been raking up points. Not all wins, but most of these games on the road, they've been doing a good job. Sloppy fashion, they conceded 7 goals in the last game. However, at home, give me the St. Pete's. Give me the Peter Pans in this one. I think they've been playing well. And unfortunately, I've never believed that Florida has a big home ice advantage, but I do like them coming home after a successful trip and starting it with a win. So I'm going to take Florida over the LA Kings. Then the next game I'm going to look at, the first thing I'm going to tell you is, as we've been seeing these last couple of nights, I mentioned this after the Rangers played Toronto. Now, you saw it again last night when the Pens played Washington. If that was earlier in the season, I'm telling you that game's going over. But now that these points mean a lot, you're seeing all these games tightly contested, tightly checked. You're not seeing these games go over as much. Do you know what games you're seeing go over? Ones between two teams who aren't in the playoffs. Last night, you're looking at Montreal, Detroit. Yeah, that's a 4-3. That one goes over. But when you're seeing the Bruins play the Lightning 2-2 in the third, you're seeing the Penguins play Washington 2-2 in the third, you're seeing Toronto play the Rangers 2-2 in the third. We got the Devils and the Stars, 2 teams in the playoff mix. I'm smelling 2-2 in the third again. I want to take the under in this, but just because the Devils have, you know, a nice collection of offensive talent, I want to buy that extra half goal. But before I do that, let me give you a couple of same games that I like. I do like both of these teams scoring 2 goals. Weirdly enough, I think Both of these teams get 2 goals, but I still wouldn't take the over. I think this one ends either 3-2, or if it is 3-2, maybe an empty netter with 4-2. But I'm not 100% sure which team wins, so I've concocted this same game parlay, which you can do 3 different ways. Both teams over 1.5 goals. Then you could take Dallas plus 1.5. That puts you like minus 110 or something. Then that same type of thing, Devils plus 1.5. Because I don't know who's going to win this one if it goes to overtime, and I really think it's going to overtime. That gives you slightly better money. And then the last one, same thing. Both teams over 1.5, and then Dallas to actually win it. That obviously will give you the best payout of the 3. If you like one of those in particular, take one. If you like one over the other, you want to do all 3 of them, I can't guarantee which of those 3, but I really feel like it's going to be a 1-goal game. If I had to pick a winner, it's going to be the Stars in overtime. And if you want to be one of those maniacs who needs to do the exact final score, go ahead 3-2. But the last 2 Stars games ended 3-2 in overtime. They were both losses on home ice, and I really see this one potentially going that way once again. Now, I am going to hold on to that under 6.5. Actually, why don't we just go right to it then? I will take the adjusted total under 6.5 in Stars Devils and combine it with the under 6.5 against 2 other playoff teams, the Calgary Flames and the Seattle Kraken. 2 more teams who have, playoff positioning at stake, and these points are at a premium, and this one should be tightly contested as well. And I want to bump that up an extra half because I hate pushing also. I don't want it to hit 6. I go, oh, cool, I pushed. So I'm going to combine the under 6.5 Devils Dallas with the under 6.5 in Seattle versus the Calgary Flames. Now I'm going to look at a player point parlay, something that has worked well for us earlier in the week. I'm going right back to a guy who is just on fire right now. He's playing unbelievable, and that's William Nylander. Yes, huge high point total. So what am I going to do? Find another huge high point total to combine with him. We got Sebastian Aho at home against the Sharks, who, they're usually good when the Sharks are on the road to concede about 4 goals. And when you think about Max Pacioretty being out of the lineup, it's back to Aho shouldering the offensive load. He was going to be their #1 player regardless, but now even more touches on the power play, more stuff has to run through him once again. I like him to register a point against those Sharks, so I'll combine those 2 to make it a plus money player point parlay. A little bit of alliteration in there. And then the last bet that I'm going to have for you is a team that we know you love, but now everyone can say to me, I have bet against the Islanders, and that you guys have been rewarded from those bets against the Islanders. But what I'm going to do in this one, combination of some of the stuff I've told you in the past. Detroit had to play an overtime game in Montreal. Then they have to go travel cross the border, which does a couple extra minutes at customs these days. And now they have to go to Long Island to play the Islanders. Islanders are technically desperate for a win, but we know they're disgusting. So what I'm going to do, because the Islanders haven't scored more than 2 goals in like 8 straight or something, I want in a same game parlay both of these teams under 4.5. I don't see either of them hitting 5 in this game. Both of these teams under 4.5. Islanders plus a half for the first period, because you know how I feel about teams in that first period after they play an overtime game the night before on the road. So play that overtime game. You just immediately have to travel, sleep, everything's better. You're a bum in that first period. And especially since the Islanders technically need it, don't put anything past them. But that is the bet that I like for that. Both teams under 4.5 with the Islanders plus half for the first period line. Ain't that wacky if you're not a hockey fan? And I'm happy to know that I've created a bunch of hockey fans. And don't think because I have a lot of support here, I don't hate people who don't watch hockey. Yeah, I stated that correctly. Hate is you know when people say that? Hey, hate is a strong word. You know what I want to say back in those situations? Yes, I fully agree with you, and I've contemplated everything you said, and after further consideration, yes, I actually still hate that person.
I hate.
Not really. Kind of. All right, everybody, you know the deal. Subscribe to the Odd Shopper channel. You help me out. We get that Instagram follower count to 10,000, and I'm releasing merchandise. Sniffing is believing. I started brainstorming, and I obviously know Photoshop, and I'm going to be working on some funny graphics. But I need to get to 10,000. I appreciate what you guys have been doing so far, and I'm just running with this. I never expected to do any of this, I promise, but we're building something interesting here, and it's starting to get out there. Eventually, Gary Benton's going to come for me because he don't like these sniffs I'm giving. Things have been great lately. I feel like a lot of you guys are kind of learning some different stuff, and it seems like a bunch of you are winning on your own now. Maybe I'm that beachfront Pilates teacher in my own weird way. But it's only going to get better towards playoffs, because if anyone was here during last playoffs, you know how I was. It was me, Battle of the Bastards, like Jon Snow, and I was taking out all those bodies at Winterfell. And I'm looking forward to doing that again, because what did I give you last night? I said, oh, this is a playoff game. So we're 1-0 in playoff-style games. All right, I'll be back with you guys tomorrow. You make sure you subscribe to the Odd Chopper channel. Follow me on Instagram and all other platforms. And I will see you, on Monday, not tomorrow. Have a great weekend. Yeah.